Welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hello there, welcome back to another episode of the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm excited for today's guest, Jordan Murad with Pest Control of Tampa, Florida. Jordan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited about this because we've actually never had, number one, a pest control business. And I know you have more of a local business, not an online business, although we did meet in an online course that we took, CEO school with Sunir Madhani she's the CEO of Stacks. They have $1 billion valuation. Like, I'm a huge fangirl of Sunira. But Jordan, I'm so excited for you to be here. Can you please just give the rundown to the audience? Let us know. How did you get to where you are today?
So actually, my grandfather started our business in 1968. My dad took over the business in 2000 when he abruptly passed away. And my brother and I kind of took over the business, say about 2018. I actually started working for the business when I was like 15 or 16, filing papers or doing little things here and there, went into hospitality. And then when I got engaged, I decided that, it was probably time for me to take something, make a little more serious career out of myself. And I started to work with my dad to see if that was something we wanted to do. And I loved it. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the family aspect of it, but pest control is very interesting. No day is the same. No house is the same. No problem is the same. So it's like you're always evolving and learning. And I think that's so great. So fast forward a few years after some customer service experience, I got into all the nitty-gritty details of some of the financial stuff. My brother was working in the field, and he and I currently now co-own the business. And it's been quite an adventure coming in and taking over the old school way of doing things, where it was like, here's the handshake. Yeah, you have a job, and trying to get a lot of the things in line that you should have as a business in 2022. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. Okay, I have so many questions. Okay, number one, I would love to dive into growing up with a family business. I am of the mindset of, so I have 2 kids and I want to leave my kids a business. I don't want to just leave them money. I want to leave them a business. And so I'm very curious, with that upbringing, was this something talked about? Oh, you're going to take over the family business someday? Or was it just oh, it's this thing that, my dad does, my grandpa does, and you never really considered it? Because you hear about these family businesses where they grow up and it's oh, this is what you're doing in life and there's no choice. So I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, so I would say that there wasn't any sort of pressure. It was very much hey, here's this opportunity. We would love for you to be a part of it, but if you're not, that's great. I think that they really fostered the environment of you need to go set out and figure out what you want to do. And that's, I went to school. I got my undergrad in economics from University of South Florida, go Bulls. And we ended up I guess my brother, got in the business as a spraying technician, and he was just I'm going to have this and do this and see if it's something I want to do. If I asked him right now, he'd probably be no, I never thought I would be in management. I thought I would just coast for a few years, figure out what I wanted to do, but we both kind of fell in love with the business. I do think having that family aspect of knowing that our grandfather and our dad put so much blood, sweat, and tears into the business, that it really is just that much more special when we do succeed and we do have certain wins. And I think it just makes it that much more special. So I wouldn't say that there was any kind of pressure by any means. I know that some families do have that, but I'm very grateful we did not.
That's awesome. And that's something that I'm very conscious of with my kids. So they're 3 and 5. So they don't, I mean, they know mommy like goes to work, but they have no idea what I do. And we have our conference Dream Bigger in October. And I already told their dad, I was like, hey, I don't care like what you have to say. They're going to miss school and they're going to come because I want them to see me on stage and doing all the things. So I want to start introducing them, but I'm very conscious of, okay, I don't want to put that pressure on them. So I'm glad to hear that really just you had those choices and you chose to come and take over the family business. So I would love to hear, like, I know you said you started around 15, 16, just filing papers. What have you done, like every position? Have you been a spraying technician? Have you, like, what are all the role? Have you done every role? Like, I would love to hear this. And what is really like your main role today?
Yeah, so I'm fully certified. So in the state of Florida, you have to have so many jobs in order, be out in the field in order to gain certain certifications to be able to hold a pest control license. Florida is one of the top states in the entire country as far as pest pressures go. So their licensing is very tough and rigid, and you got to go through a lot more hoops and juggle a lot more things than other states do. So I would say that I didn't hold a pest control route, but I have been out there. I've done some installs, I've done some treatments, and I've done that. I've been through this customer service representative. I was kind of like a head office manager for a few years. I went into a vice president role, and currently I am CEO. And my brother is the vice president, and my dad is president. And I also have my husband on board, and he's like our operations manager now. So it's been quite a family affair.
Awesome. I'm going to tell you, like, I just got goosebumps hearing that you are the CEO and all the other guys are VPs, and I love hearing that. So I'm curious, how, like, was there any tension with your brother of like the decision? I don't know how it came about, like, you're going to be the CEO, he's a vice president. I'm curious, was there ever any tension, or just like, yeah, this is how it is?
Not at all. I think at one point we were just kind of like, we didn't really have any titles, and it was like, what do you do well? What do you do well? Okay, great. And we kind of filled, into those seats. So I wouldn't say that there was any friction or anything. It was, I enjoy the talking, I enjoy the leading, the storytelling and all that stuff. And he is more suited on more operations and finance and making sure that people are doing what they need to be doing. And we just kind of fell into it. And my dad still is a president, we still go to him on a lot of things. He's more laid back. I wouldn't say semi-retired, but semi-retired. And we do go to him for a lot of reporting or decisions that need to be made. And, it just kind of fell into place, really.
That's awesome. And I love to hear that your husband works with you. Like that's my dream, is to have a partner that works with me in a business. I don't know why. That's just,
yeah, it was really weird. He was in physical therapy, and then when COVID hit, he was working at an assisted living, and they shut down, and they were like, hey, if you want to continue working here, you're basically going to have to move in. And he's like, nah, I have a 2-year-old, like, I have a wife, I'm not doing that. So he was kind of like put on leave for a little bit, and that was an interesting turnaround. And honestly, for us, pest control was out of control. Like, it was the little dive where everyone was shut down. We were kind of slow, and then it was like the floodgates opened and everyone was home. So everyone noticed all the bugs, and we have not stopped since. So we were like, we're dying. We need you to come on board. So it was a weird shift for him too, because he never thought he would be in pest control, and he loves it now. And our 4-year-old, you mentioned your children, she loves it. She's like, oh, bugs, mommy, bugs, and she pokes out. She called a grasshopper a hopgrasser for many years, and I'll never not call it a hopgrasser because of that. But yeah, she loves it too.
That's so cute. My kids have some words that they say backwards, and it's so cute. Oh my gosh. So I would love to hear about growing the business. So when you took over, or when you really started getting more involved with the business, I'm sure you were at a certain point, and it sounds like you've grown a lot since then. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that my dad and my grandfather did a really good job with the tools that they had available to them in growing the business. And I think that, with technology and the way that it's advanced in the last, it's really 5 years, but in the last 20 years from the internet. I think our customer base was used to a lot of the older fashioned style, I'm going to come out, I'm going to treat, I'm going to talk to you for 30 minutes. And that's what got us here. But our customers have evolved as much as the business and technology has evolved. So I think it was really just aligning our business to where technology and where our customers were coming at us from. And I think that when we kind of stepped in, we were like, okay, we're still using paper receipts. We're still using, phones to communicate certain things. Like the internet it's such a tool. Like, let's use it. And we went paperless in 2019, and that just was the catalyst for us to really put us in a great position. We wanted to go work from home, but it was more like a 3-year kind of plan. Like we had a large office. We really didn't have any need for it. And then COVID hit, and we were like, okay, all right, we're going to take our time. We're going to really scout this out and see how can we get our team members to working from home. Our techs were already remote. So we just were looking at the internal staff. Really focusing on those technologies advanced us. We got cloud computing for pretty much every type of software. Our team works from home. I can work, we were in Nashville in January and I worked seamlessly from there. So that flexibility would have never been there had we not done some of the steps for technology. And I think that there's literally not a single facet of the business that has not been revolutionized in some way, shape, or form for the better. Just with those technological advancements, it's been great for us.
Amazing. How many team members do y'all have now?
20.
Wow. How many technicians? I'm curious, what are the different positions, technicians, or I know you have techs.
Yeah. So we have 11 technicians. We have, I think, four customer service representatives. And then the rest is management or, executives, et cetera. But yeah, our technician team is growing, and we have, some of them are certified in just termites, and some of them are, all types of pests and termites. Termites are their own beast in itself, literally. But I think that about rounds it out. We have a customer service rep team. We all work from home, and that's been great.
Okay, I have a personal question, which I know you're in Florida. I'm in Houston. Mosquitoes are crazy. And is there an actual mosquito treatment to keep them away from your house?
So not permanently, although if somebody can come up with it, they're going to be bajillionaires. But there are treatments for, what we typically do in Florida and Houston is very wet and humid, just like, the Tampa Bay area. We typically do treatments, but we recommend frequent treatments. Sometimes they can last anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. Depending on the environmental factors, it could last up to 6 to 8 weeks per property. But I know for us, our mosquito season is pretty much almost year round, whereas other places, it's just the hot and humid. We go mostly from February to October. So we recommend, either bi-monthly treatments or monthly treatments, depending on the property, to help keep those at bay.
And how much is that?
It can depend. Some people have it included in their larger packages, so it's kind of bundled in. Some people like a la carte. Some people do it for events. It could be, if you're treating a smaller space, anywhere from $100 or $150, upwards up to, $400 or $500, depending on what you're trying to treat, how often you're treating it. If you're doing it more on a monthly basis, the cost can go down because you are keeping it under control. Whereas, if you just do a one-time treatment, sometimes it's like a Hail Mary, okay, we're going to do it, but don't know how long it's going to last because, of the environment and whatnot. But
that's awesome. Because at the moment, I'm living with my parents, waiting. It's a whole housing situation, waiting on one house to sell. Yeah. But
fun times. We just went through that. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. It's not that bad. It's pretty good. My dad is great. My parents are retired, and my dad just cleans and does laundry, so I don't have to do anything.
That's amazing.
So that's really nice. But anyways, I've been wanting to get mosquito treatment for their house because they have a whole acre of land, which is a lot for the Houston area, and it's just swampy back there. And I'm like, we need to get rid of these mosquitoes. But I'm like, I don't even know if that's a thing.
Oh, it
But
definitely
it
is.
sounds like there is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially the areas, if you're going to hang out outside, you don't have to treat the whole property, but if you're focused on one area, you know, I would make sure to get that, because I actually contracted meningitis from a mosquito. They traced it back. Like, I was in a coma. It was insane.
What?
Oh yeah, I went crazy. Basically, it had my spinal fluid swelling. I had brain swelling. Like, I almost tried to like hurt my husband. I was trying to hit him because there had such swelling on my brain. And the doctors thought I was all on drugs when they took me to the hospital. And my husband's like, no, she's never done a thing in her life. Like, you have to like keep looking. And sure enough, after I woke up, like, they kept doing testing and they traced it back to a mosquito bite, which is ironic considering I'm in the field. So I always push for, you know, make sure you're protecting yourself, because mosquitoes are the most dangerous animal in the entire world. For shark bites, nothing compares to a mosquito.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's, how long ago was that?
That was about 5 years ago now.
Oh my gosh. Well, glad to know that you are much better.
Oh yeah, thank God.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that is insane.
Sorry to sidetrack, but
yeah, no, I love talking. I mean, don't want to hear about that. I love like the sidetracks though. What? How long were you in a coma?
So it was about 48 hours where I was knocked out. They had to put because I was going so crazy, for the lack of a better word, they had to pump me with all kinds of stuff, and it just knocked me out.
Wow, that's crazy. That's insane. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I always try to push for not like fear selling fear-based tactics, but like if somebody asks me, I'm like, hey, you know, I am always going to push for that, because, you know, and I because I had traveled, I went to New Orleans for a wedding, and I came back, and immediately after, it was like the 5-6 weeks leading after that, I had migraines and was, you know, throwing up, and they were like, oh, it's just stress, and I'm like, no, my body went numb, and it was like a whole thing. So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Okay, shifting gears, getting a little bit back on track.
Right.
What I am curious about some of the things that you guys have used an attorney for, because I know we were talking beforehand that y'all didn't have like any agreements with employees. I would love to hear about that.
Yeah. So coming into the business and trying to, you know, get our hands on everything and learn everything from the bottom up. A lot of things back in the day were on handshakes, and, you know, they basically filled out their W-4 and that was it. There was no agreements. There was no like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is, you know, and not necessarily that it didn't work, but it's just in this day and age, it's, you know, you kind of got to protect yourself. And we've run into a couple instances. One, when we transferred ownership, we did go through an attorney to make sure everything was legal and taken care of. And if anyone who knows me knows I'm by the books, and I want to make sure that I am following the rules. And that was an adventure, and I learned quite a bit too. And fortunately, I will say, with all the things that we did not have done, it was a learning process for us. So I was able to learn all of those things. We have transitioned from a C corporation to an S corporation. We've used an attorney for that, and that's been an adventure along with our accountant. The employee agreements was a huge one. We had some employees that were with us for 30, 40 years, I mean, longer than I've been alive. And they didn't have employee agreements. And there was some toxicity involved with some of the people that were here. But at the time, it was like, listen, they're only going to be here for a few more years. Let's just ride it out. And, you know, my brother and I were like very much against that. But we started changing some things, and they started to see their way out. And they tried to take quite a bit of clientele with them. And I will say that they were successful with taking quite a bit. So the reason they left was because they didn't want to sign a non-solicitation, basically to do what they could do with the non-solicitation. So they refused to sign. They took some clients, but the way that we, you know, were operating, we intended on that possibly happening because we didn't have that in place, and we created a lot of other streams of revenue and different things in place so that we wouldn't really feel that. So we're grateful for that, but that was a learning curve. It was like, oh God, you know, I know sometimes they don't necessarily stand up in certain things with like non-competes. Like I know with Pest Control, there's thousands of companies just in our, you know, local radius, and sometimes it's a little hard to enact, but having those papers in place at least gets you like, okay, we've done this. gets you that. So when you have to argue a case in the future, like when we almost took this to an attorney and was like, listen, like they shouldn't be doing this. That's not fair. Like we were the business. They were just the vessel, going out and doing and not to discredit what he did or what they did, but as a technician, it just many years where those customers, they were also with us for 30 and 40 years. And it's like, not only am I protecting me as a business owner, my child's future, but you're also protecting your other employees. And that's where we were trying to drive home the point of like, hey, team member, this isn't like to prohibit you from growing. If you want to start your own business, go right ahead. That's not what this is for. This is to protect you from somebody else taking clients or somebody else on our team doing something shady or trying to get around the system. And, it's protecting your future as well. So I think, it was an easy sign for pretty much everybody else. And I think just the few bad apples, but honestly, I would rather them take the entire clientele base that they had access to, because that toxicity was not worth any of that. So it worked itself out in the end. But now we have non-solicitations, and we feel much better in a position to where if there ever is anything in the future, we had that to fall back on. And there's explicit language in it that says, you can't do XYZ, you can't take XYZ with you, and you have access to certain things and you're privy to certain information and you can't utilize that, period. And that's comforting.
Yeah. And for those listening, Jordan's referring to a non-solicitation. Probably, I'm guessing it's in lieu of a non-compete.
Correct.
And for those listening, most people revert to a non-compete. They're like, oh, I want an NDA or a non-compete. Most states will not enforce a non-compete agreement because they don't want to suppress anybody from the ability to make money.
Yes.
However, the non-solicitation is typically what benefits the business owner the most, because that means they cannot take clients. And a lot of times, just like you said, you're like, hey, we don't want to stop you from going out and starting your own business. We just don't want you to take our clients. And so that's exactly what the non-solicitation does. Like, you can't stop somebody from going and making money, but you can stop them from taking your clients. So just wanted to explain that to
yes, thank you, because
the listeners.
That's way more eloquently than I could have put it.
Well, and that's the default. I mean, because most people, they've heard of a non-compete. And so they'll come to me and they're like, hey, I want to get a non-compete for these employees. I'm like, okay, let's dig into this a little more, because probably we can't do a non-compete. And then that's when I explain that to them. So one thing I'm curious about, being a local business, how are you guys getting customers? Is it a lot of just word of mouth? Do y'all pay for marketing? I'm curious how you do get clients.
Great question. Up until about 3 years ago, we had zero marketing. It was all word of mouth, which is impeccable considering we're here 54 years later. I would say that the marketing we're doing now is just like SEO. So it's not even, it's still marketing. I'll give you that, but it's not like we're doing tons of paid advertisements. It's basically just our website and our SEO, and we're still doing really well. We're trying to change some things around so we have a little more flexibility in the budget to do a lot more marketing, but we just started some in-house event or local events recently. We got involved with some events downtown Tampa for a birthday bash. We've done a couple different fun things around the community, and that's about it. But that mostly it's all word of mouth. Our customers have been the best thing for us.
That's awesome. Are you guys on TikTok?
Yes, we are. We're new. We're new, but we are on TikTok. I think that the TikTok thing is, I feel almost like geriatric because it's not really my gig. I feel like I'm beyond give me Instagram, give me Facebook. I'm good. But we have to, one of my creative directors brought that on board with Taylor, and she's like, we need to do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm game. But we're trying to get more presence on there.
Yeah, I feel like there can be so many funny videos for Pest Control.
Oh, yeah.
So we will definitely link that in the show notes. So everybody make sure you go check out their new TikTok account. Okay, Jordan, before I let you go, I ask everybody the same question. What is the number one business advice you would give somebody? It doesn't have to be related to pest control or anything specific. If somebody just came up to you off the side of the road and was like, please, your best business advice.
I would say to find your network, find your tribe, find the people that you can bounce things off of. I think that's what really elevated us as a company was when I was fortunately, I was chosen as one of 10 across the country to be a part of a leadership program with the National Pest Management Associations. I mean, so getting involved in any kind of, thank you, that association, it really exploded our business because I had so many people to reach out to for X, Y, and Z thing. Like, hey, what do you suggest for this? What do you want to do for this? Or what do you think would be great? And providing that feedback and really finding your tribe, finding those people that can help elevate you, has been a game changer. So I would definitely don't keep things to yourself. Like, no gatekeeping, like talk to your friends, talk to anybody, get your circle.
That's great. I love that. Okay, Jordan, thank you so much. This has been so fun. I'm so excited that we did this interview, and you guys will link everything in the show notes below if you are in the Tampa. Oh, like, what do y'all service? Is it
just the Tampa Bay area right now? We are looking to open a few locations throughout the country, so be ready for that. But as of now, we're just in Tampa, Florida.
Perfect. Amazing. Jordan, thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you.
In case you missed it, our flash sale for Dream Bigger is now over. That crazy good deal that you'll never see again, it's gone. However, tickets are actually now 50% off. General, VIP, whatever you want, 50% off. Get them now because this event is going to sell out. I don't know when, however, it will sell out. We are so excited for this. We have Allie Webb, Danielle Canty, Pollyanna Reed, we have Chris Harder, Lori Harder, so many more big names that are going to be announced soon, so stay tuned. But for now, go get your ticket, 50% off, and get those rooms booked as well. I cannot wait to see you in Phoenix, October 5th to the 7th. Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.